changing the way that teachers teach the students is so important. And I think that is fundamentally where we see the change is going to be, that bring new technologies to help the teachers flip that classroom.
Hey, hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Alkemi Labs, the podcast where we unpack brave ideas, great solutions, and brilliant human minds shaping the future of work, learning, and society. I'm your host, Bradley Howland. Today we're diving into something a little close to my heart and vital to our continent's future, which is education. More specifically, the transformation of education through innovation. Our guest today is from a company called Scadco, the minds behind a system called SCADSYS, a pioneering school management platform that is rethinking how we connect educators, parents, students, and systems together. Joining me today is Vivian from the Scadco team. Welcome to Alkemi Labs.
Thank you very much for having me, Brad, and looking forward to our chat.
For those who don't know about Scadco and SCADSYS, maybe you want to tell me a little bit about both the company itself and the platform and what that means for listeners.
Sure. So Scadco is an IT company that has been around for some 30-something years in the South African education space. And born from that, various companies evolved. We now have SCADSYS, which has also been around for a very long time. Our founder's wife was a school principal, and she needed a different process to do student attendance and so forth. And that's how SCADSYS was found. So he actually developed the system for her. And then we have a teacher professional development and coaching company, Buzzbotics. And we have an esports company that was born during COVID to help students play Minecraft education, just to relieve some stress from them. And from there, RGB gaming was created.
How does a program like SCADSYS integrate into those systems, and what does that value provide for both educators and then the schooling system?
So one of the things in South Africa is we need to comply with certain regulations within the country. And a lot of the school management systems are either from the UK or from the US or Australia, which doesn't always comply to South African standards, where SCADSYS is homegrown for South African schools by South Africans as well. So that's where we stand out and have created this real-time dashboard where it's updating and automating reports, plugging into the Department of Basic Education's, say, SAM system for reporting to them on literally a weekly basis.
There are a lot of systems out there that often feel very clunky and fragmented. What are some of the pain points that you intentionally set out to solve with the solution?
Well, one of the big things, and I think, if you go to any school, the first thing they say, how do we communicate with our parents? How do we get information to our parents? How do we get the school report to our parents? And we've gone and we've taken something that they use on a daily basis, like WhatsApp, and we've integrated it into our SCADSYS system, where now when the parents log into their WhatsApp, they are able to get access to all the updates that pertain to their child that's at the school. Or if there is, you got to come and fetch your kid from school because they're sick, they send the information via WhatsApp and you get that information immediately. And I think that is quite a big differential that we have as opposed to some of the other systems.
Do you standout stories in terms of feedback from schools or parents in terms of how they've integrated with the system and what that looks like in action?
And it's funny that you asked that. Literally 3 weeks ago, I was at an event for young ladies. And one of the parents that was standing outside the parking lot saw my Scadco name on my shirt and came to me and said, your company is that one that's got our parent portal, right? And I'm like, yes, that's us. And they weren't even from the school that was hosting it. It was from a sister school down the road. So I think, the SCADSYS system is easy, it's modular. So the school will take what it needs at that point in time, that's their pain points, and they will then implement that and then grow it as they have additional requirements. Now, yes, we do have schools and I can mention the name, Bryandale Primary. They were our initial school that the SCADSYS system was created for some 30 years ago. And they have evolved into a fully fledged system that we use, that the admin staff use it, the kitchen staff use it, the tuck shop uses it, the clothing store, the groundskeepers, everybody. And then obviously, importantly, the parents, the teachers, and the management that reports back into government, into the provincial departments.
How are you leveraging AI?
AI is the buzzword, and will continue to be for a very long time. And we built in all of these AI features to alleviate the mundane everyday task for the teachers. Like, for instance, in some schools, we have biometric systems. And when the student walks into the class, the registered class in the morning, it automatically marks the attendance register. The teacher doesn't have to sit there with a pen and paper, or even the teacher then just takes their phone out and calls the student name, and they're able to then mark it off, and it automatically goes into the system. The same thing works for if there are challenges with behavior and so forth. The system integrates all of those things, and the teachers would be able to intervene early enough if they see something is becoming more regular.
Does it then give insights as well in terms of where it starts picking up patterns or things? Or, I mean, because you said that obviously the teachers can...
for early intervention, most definitely. If a child is absent more often than not from school, it picks that kind of thing up. If a child is, and I hate using the word, getting demerits because of behavioral issues or anything like that, the system will pick it up and they will alert either the parent or they will alert the teachers to say, look, we've got to have a look at this. And where there are school psychologists involved and that kind of thing as well, all of that information is kept safe and secure because of the back end of the Microsoft infrastructure that we've put in place to secure all of the student data and information that sits in a school.
So you've spoken about Microsoft. Your platform integrates with Microsoft 365, Azure, and some of the other AI learning accelerators. Why is this important for your ecosystem, and what does that unlock for the school?
Well, if we look at the workplace today, about 70% of the South African workplace, it might be a little higher, is a Microsoft environment. So getting students future ready from the early grades is very important, not only to Microsoft themselves, but to us as a Microsoft partner. And we build our resources around those capabilities to plug in. We look at different environments. We have schools that are in more rural areas. In actual fact, one of the schools we work with is in Matatiel in the Eastern Cape. Another school is one of the Girl private schools here in Johannesburg. So very different environments, but we've built our school system so that it actually fits into areas where they have bandwidth constraints, and we can support different styles of learning. Some schools have students that are traveling overseas because of, going to Olympiads and all of those kind of things, or going on school trips. I actually saw there was one of the schools that we work with that's actually in Beijing at the moment. Those students were still able to access and see what's happening locally here back in Johannesburg. So
how does your mobile-first approach empower both teachers and students?
So we know that not all schools have access to these amazing computer labs, or even just to they call them gadgets, devices, to Android tablets or iPads and so forth. But we know that most parents and most students, when they get a phone these days, it's some form of a smartphone. So with those devices, we are then able to start enriching the way that students learn. I mean, you know this, I know this. The students of today are tired of a textbook. They want to learn in the short bits, and that's what we can do by looking at a mobile-first empowerment for teachers. So sharing how you can make a 3-minute TikTok and share that information with the students, or do a lesson for 15 minutes so that the students can then access it via their mobile device. And in some places, there's community centers which have been set up for exactly this kind of environments as well, so that the students can access devices when they don't have it in the more rural areas. And engaging with community centers like that, we're actually working with a university in South Africa that has been doing some STEM classes across the country from grade 8 through to grade 12. And the students have been the biggest supporters. We've had like 1,200, 1,700 students at a time on these Saturday morning sessions, and they're on their mobile devices. You know, we don't know what 5 years holds. We might take this ginormous leap into technology, that everything will only be digital. And if we look at the banking environment today, there's hardly anything that you have to do with a piece of pen and paper in the bank.
Yes.
Right? Everything is online. We've got to think about these things. I was reading some stuff during last week around what's happening in the law field. Also, everything is going online in the law field. Previously, you used to sign a lot of paperwork. Oddly enough, this morning, I signed a lot of paperwork because I'm busy buying a house. And I said to them, but why isn't all of this digital? And they said, oh, no, it's coming. You know, so one of these days, even signing for a house, you're going to do it all online, you know. And it is more secure doing that. Yeah. You're able to use the data more effectively. And I think that's the gold for any school, is the data that they have of the students, of the teachers, and of the parents to be able to personalize information going out to them.
Can you maybe share a case study or example of a school that significantly improved learning or operational outcomes through the process and through your technology?
Well, I did mention the school earlier. Yeah. Rindale Primary, which is our founding school with our SCADSYS system. And we know that we've had a 25% improvement of learners. Just, you know, as they shift from grade to grade, we can actually identify the gaps that the students have just by pulling out the analytics from the SCADSYS system. Platform then helps us intervene with the tracking of the students and to show the educators, the teachers, where they can intervene and help the students. We've also seen with using some of the Microsoft tools, something like Reading Progress, which is one of those learning accelerators you mentioned a little bit earlier. Reading Progress or Reading Coach is something that just improves your reading skills. And those AI tools that have been built in, we've now attached inside of our SCADSYS system, and we can actually see the significant increase.
How important are strategic partnerships to your business model?
Extremely. We can't do what we do without our partners that we work with, and obviously one of the main ones being Microsoft, because we fundamentally have taken the Microsoft Education Transformation Framework and we've built our company's vision and mission statements around it to improve education for everyone all the time. And, you know, looking at partnerships like with Microsoft, looking at partnerships with our people we buy hardware from, EdTech, looking at partnerships within our company, so with Buzzbotics, with RGB Gaming, with Scadco. SCADSYS can't just exist without those. Can't exist on its own because it's an input from everybody. And you mentioned something a little bit earlier about training, and that's so important because with our SCADSYS system, yes, a school management system is a school management system. They've all got a lot of similarities. But with our SCADSYS system, the difference is as well, we're not going to just sit and do online training with you. We're going to come and sit with you, with your finance manager. We're going to come and sit with your principal. We're going to come and sit with a person who's doing timetabling. You know, we're going to literally be there holding your hand. Yes, there will be some online sessions when you're busy shifting students around for the new year or that kind of thing. But most of the time we have our team that is actually going out and in the classroom with the teachers, showing them how to do that reporting and so forth. And I think, that's why we've seen the success that we've seen with our SCADSYS system. During an implementation, they have access to the team. And one of the team members is our CEO. They have direct access to our CEO, Mitchell, during this implementation time as well. So nobody shies away from sitting down and helping when it comes to the training of the team within the school.
What have been challenges as you grow and as you become more and more successful?
So we're actually busy in a bit of a growth spurt at the moment, and we are busy training up two of our SCADSYS staff, Scadco staff, to actually take on some of the introductory responsibilities where they will take the teachers through a show and tell. So the teachers will have the SCADSYS on their devices and they will click them through it. For us, it's not about killing them with a PowerPoint presentation. Showing the people, letting them click with us. They get the feel for the system and they can say, oh, this is easy, or this is not, I'm not understanding, it's a little bit complicated. Can we just go through it again? When we have those personal sessions, I think makes a huge difference as opposed to sitting somewhere else in the world and somebody with a different accent trying to help them.
Do you see the South African education system embracing technology fast enough? And I mean, are there gaps that you've identified?
They embrace technology. I wouldn't say fast enough. I think there's a lot that can be done a lot quicker. Sometimes the decision-making processes is pretty cumbersome, unfortunately. Where for the public schools, generally it's a 5 to a 7 year cycle for decision-making processes when they look at if the provincial departments need to bring in some new technology. And we've seen this with the coding and robotics that they brought in. Those conversations started in early 2020. And literally last year, they said, okay, now it's going to be part of the curriculum for 2026. And subsequently, it's been removed. So those processes do take time, but with other things, it happens very quickly. I think sometimes it's necessity over quality.
So if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing in how the school protect, what would that be?
Get teachers trained properly. Get teachers trained on new tech. Ask the universities that are training teachers to change their curriculum. Because they're teaching teachers to teach out of a textbook. It can't be that way anymore. I think, everybody needs to look at now, we have moved on from the fourth industrial revolution to the fifth industrial revolution. Yes. And even in some terms, people are talking about the sixth industrial revolution. And we need to look at what this fifth industrial revolution is. And we're in it because of AI already. We're not physically hammering and tinkering on things for the fourth industrial revolution. We're now embracing the software, the technology side, and it's becoming part of our very daily lives. It's not going to change.
If you had to take a back ball and kind of look at it to see sort of where Scadco is going and your role that you play in it, where do you see that sort of evolving to in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, most definitely we feel that we've becoming more of a trusted advisor when it comes to a school management system. When we look at SCADSYS, we have, with our sister company Busbotics, cemented ourselves in getting access to SACE points, which is CPD points that teachers have to get on an annual basis. We've created courses around that. So becoming this education partner for schools and for communities out there that can bring a holistic view of everything that's required in one package to schools. In the developmental years of the young people, most companies out there and ourselves are doing a lot more face-to-face interactive lessons than putting a device in front of the young'uns. We teach that way as well. When we go to teachers is, yes, you can track systems on a digital platform, but the teaching and learning still needs to happen very practically for the preschool and the junior primary. From about grade 4 is where most schools start introducing technology, from about grade 4 and then upwards. And technology is also tailor-made for different age groups. Like, for instance, you're not going to give a fully fledged laptop per se to a grade 4, 5, and 6 student where you know that potentially a tablet could work. So we look at that from a school perspective as well. And we call it devices fit for purpose or learning fit for purpose at the end of the day. So from preschool, junior primary, things look a little bit different. Then from more primary, we change it up again. The same with high school. From grade 11s and 12s, they are left because there's just so much curriculum to get through. So the technology component is encompassed from grade 8, 9, and 10 in the high school.
What drives you to keep building in the education space at the moment? We
employ teachers. We have teachers that are our parents. We love education. I was sitting in Cape Town after I'd done some training with the Department of Western Cape, the Education Department of Western Cape. And I was sitting at the airport, and I can go find a social media post where it said, I had my aha moments. I found my purpose. Doing this with teachers is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So you've got a whole group of people that are extremely passionate about education. One of my colleagues, Ryan, is actually busy doing some studies. And he wants to become a teacher sooner than later. We've got Amy, we've got Paige, we've got Candace is an intern who's decided to change what she wants to go and study next year, purely because what she's seen and how we deliver the training and the technologies into schools. So very passionate bunch of people that want to be in the education space.
What are you most excited about in terms of sort of where EdTech is going at this stage?
Yes, and EdTech, physical technology, so hardware technology, changes constantly, but the way teachers teach in the classroom doesn't. So bringing these new technologies to the teachers is sometimes incredibly overwhelming, and we've seen a lot of it with the Lego Foundation, where they've brought in the Lego curriculum. We've seen this with one of the, even with the esports component, but just looking at bringing and making things different for the classroom, changing the way that teachers teach the students is so important. And I think that is fundamentally where we see the change is going to be, that bring new technologies to help the teachers flip that classroom.
If there was one thing that you wished the listeners of this podcast would know about the space that you're playing in and about what you do, what would that be?
Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, especially if you are not the specialists. I always say this to when I meet new people and I'm sitting wherever, I say, you are the specialist in doing what you do. We are specialists in education. Come and ask us. We will help you find the right people to work with. And that's one of the things about our partnerships. We don't just keep it to ourselves. We go and find people that can build community of practices like ZabuzaNet. They have this amazing free online platform with about 40,000 teachers on it. And we are able to go in there and just share ideas. And I think, making sure that we have communities like that endorse each other is vitally important at the end of the day. And like I mentioned to you earlier, when the parent at an event that was totally unrelated came to me and said, oh, that SCADSYS, that parent portal lady, so I think that's the value.
What have been the things that you managed to get right with the brand, and where have some of those big challenges been?
Yeah, so maybe start with the challenges. Some of the challenges sometimes is price, where people perceive price over quality at the end of the day. We're not always the cheapest in what we do, but I can guarantee you have a massive team behind what that solution is that's going to be delivered. We, face challenges around schools not understanding what new technology is about, unfortunately. Successes for us, we took a school management system and we listened when we were implementing, and teachers were saying, but how do I learn this? Then we started an IT company to help with them understanding how to connect a printer and all of that kind of stuff. Then when the teachers were saying, but you're talking about Microsoft, how do I use my Microsoft licensing? We established a teacher professional development company. Then, during COVID, to alleviate stress, like I mentioned, we got the kids playing Minecraft. And from there was like, oh, this could be something. And we started an esports company. And I think that's the visionary people we have within our company, that we don't just stop at a point where it's like, okay, and become complacent. We're always looking for the next best thing. And, we bring these massive ideas. We always joke, and sometimes it is dangerous, that we don't say no. We will take the information, we will go and talk to everybody, and if we can come up with a solution, we will come up with a solution. Otherwise, I think in my time, and I've been here for 4 years now, I think we've gone back once where we said, we've got to find somebody else to help us. And we went to go find somebody else to help create a fashion show. We're not in the fashion industry. We created a virtual fashion show.
It's a bit of a far cry from the real business, but I think, Vivian, thank you so much for joining us, and I really do appreciate it. It's always fascinating to hear how tech can be used, not just to simplify things, but ultimately to empower, and especially in the education space. So thank you for that. If you're listening and having sparked your interest, whether you're a school, a parent, or somebody looking to solve a tech challenge the smart way, check out Scadco and what they're building with SCADSYS. If you're enjoying these conversations, hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We've got more voices coming up the way around innovation, purpose, and performance. Until next time, keep experimenting, keep evolving.
Thank you.